Good morning, Kahal Kadosh. It's good to be back today, Thursday, the 24th day of Tammuz, corresponding to the 13th day of July. I said Beracha before of this. Good. Definitely it's good to be back at the Edmond J. Safra Synagogue after a quick trip to Deal and to Brooklyn. And we say thank you for everyone that I saw up north, and the shout outs to all the friends and rabbis and synagogues that we visited during the short trip. Let's get moving now with the learning for a few minutes today. The Gemara, or rather the Perashah of today, we all know that they have these two Shabbat coming up, two Perashiot this coming Shabbat, Perashiot Matot and Mas'eh, which also marks the conclusion of Sefer Bamidbar. One of the messages that Perashat Mas'eh brings upon us is the way that a Yehudi lives their life. What does it mean? The Torah highlights the different journeys that Bnei Israel endure during the 40 years of the desert. And even though to many of us some of these names don't mean much, but we cannot forget a pasuk that says, Al pi Hashem yis'u, al pi Hashem yahanu. A Yehudi travels by the guidance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and a Yehudi camps or stops by the guidance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And even though the Torah mentions only the geographical locations of each and every one of these places that we were at, but in life we all go through our own type of journey. And I'm not referring to only the physical journey. Let's say a person is born in a country and then goes to another country and then goes to another country, etc. That's something that only time tells us how it's going to be going in the life of the person. But I think that the deeper message of the Torah is that a person must live throughout life with the GPS of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the GPS of the Torah. And that's perhaps the meaning of this pasuk. Al pi Hashem yis'u. A person, or let me introduce this with the following statement. The Rambam writes a very interesting statement that says, En simcha ke'asarat ha'sefekot. There is no greater joy than when the person removes their sefekot, their doubts in life. In other words, a person often has a decision to make. A person has a safek. What should I do? Should I do A? Should I do B? Should I do C? So the Rambam says that there is no greater happiness like when that doubt that a person has is being removed. And the question is, how do I remove that doubt? What do I utilize to answer me? Do A instead of B, do B instead of C. C is better than A, although in school A is better than C. But sometimes the choices in front of us, maybe the lower choice is better than the first choice. So I think that if we can take again the pasuk that I mentioned in the beginning of today's class, Al pi Hashem yis'u, al pi Hashem yahanu, that as long as the decision that a person makes in life or throughout life, it is within the parameters and the perimeters and in accordance to the Torah, that Be'ezat Hashem will be the right decision that a person makes. Why? Because all the directives of the Torah are not only to strengthen our bonding with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the guidelines of the Torah is to make the person living the most meaningful and positive life that a person can live. I think that for today, this brief introduction, it is very good to give us the get-go from Perashat Mas'eh. From Perashat Matot, which is the first of the two Perashiot, I believe that the Kahal knows the basic lesson that Perashat Matot brings upon us. The Pasuk says, Lo yahel devaro kechol hayoseh mipiv ya'aseh. The translation of this particular verse literally means, do not profane, do not desecrate your words. Whatever comes from your mouth, you shall fulfill. Comes the Rashi and he quotes a Sifri that says, Lo ya'aseh devarab hulin. Don't make your words to be profane. What does it mean? Hol is different than Kodesh. What does it mean? In the Havdalah we'll say, Hamavdil ben Kodesh lehol. Everybody knows this. That distinguishes between the holy and the mundane. For example, in the laws of Shabbat, there is a concept called Obdin dehol. Obdin dehol means that how do I say this? That activity or that action that a person is doing is suitable for a weekday. It's not suitable for Shabbat. That is the meaning of Obdin dehol. Suitable for a weekday. Another parameter in the halacha, it's called Ziluta de Shabbat, the belittling of the Shabbat. So interesting enough, in this week's parasha, we find the same concept that it says as follows, Lo ya'aseh et devarav kehullin. Your words should not be made into something mundane, shemezalzelim bahem, that people belittle them, be'en hosheshim b'shemiratam, and they don't pay attention to watch over the words, ela ishmor et mosapiv kehegdesh. The words that come from your mouth have the power and the kedusha of something of the Bet HaMikdash. This is a very powerful, how do I say this? This is a very powerful commentary that we find in today's parasha. For example, can someone that is tameh eat teruma? If a kohen is impure, a kohen cannot eat teruma. That's it. A kohen to eat teruma needs to be tahor. Now, can a person that is not tahor eat a korban? No. Even a korban, even a sacrifice that the owner of the animal is able to eat, the way the Mishnah writes in Ezehu Mekoman, even that halacha requires that a person needs to be physically pure. Another case, can a kohen that is not pure enter the Bet HaMikdash? No, not allowed. A kohen needs to be pure. And even if the kohen is pure, every day when the kohen comes into the Bet HaMikdash to do his holy work, he needs to do kiddush yadayim beraglaim. He needs to do kiddush for the hands and kiddush for the feet. Now you may ask, why do we call kiddush for the hand? It's not like you're taking a cup of kiddush and you say, Savri Maranan, Bore Peri Yadayim. You don't say Savri Maranan, Bore Peri Raglaim. No, but this mitzvah in the Torah, it's called Kiddush Yadayim Beraglaim. What does it mean? Excuse me, the sanctification or the purification of the hands and the feet. Meaning to say, not only that a kohen needs to be physically pure, but once he enters the courtyard of the Bet HaMikdash, first rule of the day is go to the wash basin. This is called Kior Bechano. Wash your hands and feet. That's why the Kohanim in the Bet HaMikdash walk barefooted. The Kohanim in the Bet HaMikdash did not have socks, did not have shoes. They wore barefooted, descalzos in Spanish they say. Why? So the Kedusha of the ground of the Bet HaMikdash will not be interrupted by the presence of socks and shoes. That we use socks is a whole different story today. But in the Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim walk barefooted, so that the feet will be in direct contact with the holy grounds of the Bet HaMikdash without having any hatzitza, without having any bodily interruption between the ground and the physical body. Now, not only that, the Pasuk writes, the commentary writes in the Sifri as well, that the challenge that we have in life is that people talk too much, and often the talking is not emet, it's not true. We heard the halakha today inside on the concept of raffles, genevat da'at, stealing the mind of the person, and other matters. If you look, obviously I wasn't here this week, but I do know that you have the class every day. But if you follow the daily learning of the Hokle Israel, we have seen literally all types of messages about this particular concept. A topic that Be'ezat Hashem tomorrow, with Hashem's help, will perhaps expand a bit on this, because at the end of the day, and this is not even talking about the prohibited way of talking, if it's Lashon Hara, Rechilut, Nibul Peh, Halbanat Panim, all kinds of prohibitions, if it's gossip, slander, profanity, vulgarity, embarrassing somebody, all the averot that are easily done. Believe me, one of the easiest averot that a person can do is with their mouth. And I'm not talking about eating non-kosher. Eating non-kosher people are makpid. But when it comes out to what we say, the Torah says, don't think that talk is cheap. You know, I said this in the past when it came to the laws of Shemirat al-Lashon. That in Arabic people say, haki balash. Talk is cheap. Haki is not balash. Talk is not cheap. Talk is costly. It has a lot of consequences, a lot of side effects that comes with it. So I think that the introduction to Perashah Matot, it's good enough for today to enhance this particular topic. Let's go to the introduction to the Zohar of today. The Zohar of today discusses one of the basic components of our life as a Yehudi. How do we serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The Zohar brings the two keywords, Ir'ah and Ahava. Ir'ah is to serve Hashem out of fear. Ahava is to serve Hashem out of love. So the Zohar HaKadosh explains that the ultimate level of being Obed Hashem is Ahava. We find this, for example, in the case of Avraham Avinu. The case of Avraham Avinu, the Pasuk writes, Zera Avraham Ohavi, the descendants of Avraham, my beloved. Why my beloved was called Avraham? Avraham Avinu, we need to understand, if we believe that today, 21st century, is challenging to be a Jew, believe me that there were moments in history that being a Jew was dangerous, and being a Jew was mega dangerous. Starting from the time of Abraham Avinu alayhi shalom, that he was the first person, I should say, that in his time went against the world. In what sense? In developing, so to speak, the concept of emunah and bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Zohar HaKadosh writes, and it says that even that a Yehudi does the avodah out of ir'ah. What does the meaning of ir'ah? A person understands that every action causes a reaction. Al sechar mizvah, mizvah, sechar avera, avera. The Mishnah writes in Pirkei Avot, one mitzvah attracts another mitzvah. One avon attracts another avon. And the idea of the person is, if the person is in the right path and one mitzvah attracts another mitzvah, Hazaku Baruch. But the problem is, we are in the other track. Avon brings another Avon. Nevertheless, it says in many sources that even though that may happen, that doesn't mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not allow the person to make a U-turn. A person realizes the need to change. According to our holy books, just the realization of the need to change course definitely is the first baby step towards Teshuvah. But the Zohar HaKadosh explains, and it says, even though, right there, thank you, Hazako Baruch. Even though that the person serves Hashem out of fear. What's the meaning of serving Hashem out of fear? A person is afraid of, let's say the way it is, maybe of the onesh, maybe of the consequence of the avon, or maybe the person is afraid, oh, if I do the avon and then I need to ask for something, I may not have credit. That's a way that sometimes the brain thinks. I'm only bringing a fictitious example to understand what's the meaning of Avodah Meir'ah. But Avodah Me'ahava, which the Zohar HaKadosh writes, and it says in Sifrei Musar, that is definitely the highest level, because the person comes to an understanding and to the realization that this is the way that I connect and I bond with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why the Gemara writes, Irhure Avera Kashim Me'avera. The thought of an Avon, it's worse than the Avon. And anybody in the room may ask, how come? It doesn't make sense. Right? Hazako Baruch Lechaim. Intellectually does not make sense, but spiritually makes a lot of sense. Yesterday was the yortzeit of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, the Ramak from Tomer Devora, Alav Shalom. And towards the end of the Sefer, which is obvious reading for the month of Elul, we have another few weeks until that happens, Be'ezat Hashem, he writes about the power of the mind. And it says that when the thought of an avon affects the mind of the person, that thought creates a pegam in the mind of the person. But not only he says that, he says that why so much attention our Torah gives to the mind? To summarize in a brief sentence, the mind of the person can be the best friend or the worst enemy. How many times you hear people say, it's all in your mind? What does it mean it's all in your mind? That in reality, it's not happening, but you fabricated this concept here, and automatically this is traveling. And this is what's taking a toll on the life of the person. And the Gemara explains that when a person has the thought of the Avon, the Yetzer Hara tries to penetrate and to break into the mind of the person. This is not to say, go ahead and do the Avera, it's better than the thought. Although on the surface it is better. Because once the Avon is done, the Yetzer Hara comes down. But they nishtahin or nishtaher. If you understand what I'm trying to say, what does it mean? It says, don't think about it and don't do it. That will be the best of all scenarios. For example, in last week's Perashat Pinchas, in the reading of Rosh Chodesh, I'm going to give you the short version. In the offering of Rosh Chodesh, talks about a sin offering. Us'iri azim ehad lehatat laHashem. Offer a goat, a sin offering to Hashem. Rashi brings two commentaries. I'm going to concentrate today on the first commentary. Now, why do I invoke Hashem in this sin offering? So there are two answers. The second answer has to do directly with God. The story of the moon, Rashi brings down. We're not going to speak about it today. But let's go to reason number one. ללמדך שמכפר על שאין בו ידיעה, לא בתחילה ולא בסוף. A person made an avon, but the person doesn't know that he or she made an avon. Doesn't know in the beginning, doesn't know after. Sometimes a person did something, and then somebody comes and tells them, do you know that what you did is not allowed? Oh, I didn't know that. That's called sof. In this case, the person doesn't know nothing. The person did something, thinking that he's doing good, but he wasn't doing good. Who knows this? שאין מכיר בחטא אלא הקדוש ברוך הוא בלבד. Only God knows that a person made the avon. Not even the person knows that they did an avon. Again, it's not like the person did an avon privately. Oh, nobody's watching me. No, the person did an action thinking that is good. So comes Rashi and it says that this Korban Hatat that we offer in honor of Rosh Chodesh, it says very simple. In the event that a person made an avon, it takes care of the unknown avon. Now, I ask you a question. Why does the person needs to bring such a korban? If I didn't know that I was doing an avon, it's shogeg. It's unintentional. But yet, it seems, if you take the Pasuk, Rashi, and the other commentaries, plus what Rabbi Moshe Cordovero writes also in Tomer Devora, that there is no trading for Averot. Let's say I go to a store and I want to trade in something. Okay? What they tell me, okay, if you buy something else, we give you X amount of credit. I says, okay, no problem. I'll trade in something not that good for something better. Let's bring this question to Shamayim. After 120, the person has a credit card account. You have debits and you have credits. Credits are the mitzvot. Debits are the averot. I'm going to use a simple number. Let's say a person has 1,000,000 mitzvot, which we hope that we all have many more than that. But let's use a simple number. 1,000,000 mitzvot, 400,000 averot. Okay, how do we handle the discrepancy between the mitzvot and averot? Any Jewish businessman will say, what's the problem? Shave from the top 400,000 mitzvot from the 400,000 averot is an even trade. Pay me for the balance. Guess what? In Shamayim, there is no trading mitzvot and averot. E'ata yodea matan secharan shel mitzvah. So the Rabbi Moshe Cordovero says it's impossible to trade in mitzvot for averot because it's talking like day and night. Mitzvah, avera. So that's why many times, and again, we're saying this in theory, we don't really know this until the neshama of the person goes through when comes the time to meet the Creator, that there is the concept of din beheshbon. Basically, this is the amount of the mitzvot, this is the amount of averot. Certain averot can be wiped out through teshuvah, but what happens if there is a balance on the averot? How do you handle the balance? So then the neshama goes through a purification process. You call it Gehinam. Even though the word Gehinam is scary, we don't really understand what that means. But the way we understand this, it's like a cleansing process for the neshama. And again, as much as we try to explain, it's difficult to really explain what that means. Maybe you use a car wash drive-through. Okay? You came in, you drive through not clean, dirty. You go out, you look much better. You do the super turtle wax undercoating washing for $11.99. You get all the works. No more $11.99. Okay. Mehila. $14.99. Okay. Everything went up in life. Okay. Anyways, so look at Gehinam, Haz v'Shalom, like the neshama goes through a cleansing process. And again, we're using fictitious examples just to have a sample of an understanding of what exactly means that particular word. Once the neshama went through that, then the neshama goes to Gan Eden. So, and that's why Rabbi Moshe Cordovero said what I said before. There is no trading between misvot and averot. Averot are averot, misvot are misvot. That's number one. Number two, the power of the mind. The power of the mind can build the person, or Haz v'Shalom, the opposite. Serving Hashem, two different levels. Fear and out of love. We can say, perhaps, that in the beginning, the person serves Hashem out of fear. What does it mean? A person doesn't know better as a child. The person grows. He does that's what he's told to do. But as the person grows and experiences life and matures throughout life and grows throughout life, I am comfortable to say that a person who put the right mindset in their spiritual life, and obviously supported by Torah learning and living a proper Jewish meaningful life, so then the mitzvot that a person needs to do, they don't become a burden, because we look at the mitzvah, so to speak, as a connector with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And if a Kadosh Baruch Hu is Kol Yachol, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu is the Almighty, and we understand that everything in our life and everything that we have in our life, it comes from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So then, gradually, and I'm saying this clearly, this does not happen overnight. In other words, it's a slow process. But look back 5 years. Where were you 5 years ago? And where are you now? Go back 10 years. Where were you 10 years ago? And where are you now? And then the person is their own, how do I say this? You judge yourself. What does it mean you judge yourself? You are honest, hopefully, with yourself. And to know, okay, in this area was better. In this area I'm better now. I feel more tranquil. I feel more with emunah, more with bitachon. Only time will tell the essence of our deeds, of our actions, and the person must stay away. Mizvat nashim melumada. That's a meaning, or rather, that's a pasuk that says that there was a Navi mentions that regretfully people became robotic when it came to do mitzvot. What does it mean, mizvat anashim melumada? Sure, we do the mitzvah, but we are stuck in time. We didn't change. We didn't move up. We moved down. Because in Judaism, stationary doesn't exist. Either you go up or you go down. But sometimes you ask yourself, I don't understand. How come this person is here 20 years and is the same person as he was 20 years ago? No change, no growth, no development. That's your answer. Mizvat Nashim Melumada. We do the practical, we do the robotic functioning of the mitzvah, but no more than that. And no more than that means we don't learn, which obviously is something that we aim to do, Baruch Hashem, every day of our lives, sometimes days, some days more. But I'll tell you, personally speaking now, I missed this class. Thank you. I missed the class. I feel better already. Thank you. Not like I didn't learn when I was there. I learn and I read, etc. But it's not the same. Besides home base, I'm talking, I could have done today's class by myself in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I could have done today's class by myself. Even less. I'm a fast reader. Verstehst? You understand? So we support each other. We encourage each other. We make the effort of spending half an hour, 40 minutes every day together. This is what reinforces. I didn't know the extent of the classes that we give here, the benefit of these classes. I'm not going to brag about it, but many people told me, Rabbi, now you are my date. I said, relax, go on a date with your wife. Somebody told me, Mendel, Rabbi, you are my date. So the wife was next to him. And I said, Mehila. He says, Rabbi, because you are my husband's date, I'm happy. I said, okay, Hazaku Baruch, I feel bad, And he tells me, my wife knows from 9:20 till 10, I'm glued to the, he already knows that I'm starting at 9:20, Hazaku Baruch. Huh? Sure, doesn't cost them anything. Anyways, but people say the fact that we have this discipline is not simple at 9:15 in the morning to begin your day with Torah learning. Obviously, for us in South Florida, is the norm. This is the way the system is. But up north, the people travel to the city, or people travel to Jersey, etc. Right, by 7:30, 8 o'clock, awam. Move, we need to travel, especially from Deal. You take the Deal bus ride, goes to the city with the minyan, with the class. It's beautiful. And by the way, what I saw in Deal these past few days, and a big shout out to all the shuls, West Deal, Deal Shul, Lawrence Avenue, the 3 shuls that I visited, unbelievable. What do you see? The shiurim, the minyanim, the masses of people coming, praying, learning. And this is something that I left inspired in what I've seen. Obviously, you can compare the numbers in South Florida that are much smaller, obviously, but unbelievable that thousands of people, have the same discipline of coming to pray. Many pray before, many learn before they pray. It's a trend, and it's an Baruch Hashem, is only a testimony to the growth and the development of the community. And that's not a doubt that brings not only a tremendous amount of nahat, of happiness and satisfaction to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I spoke in this Shabbat. I was in West Deal, and the amount of people in the Sauda Shelishit, Deal Synagogue, I heard also in Lawrence Avenue. These are the 3 shuls that I visited. So if I don't mention Park Avenue, Bet Yosef, Cedar Avenue, Magen Avraham, and all the other shuls that are popping everywhere, don't take it personal. But these are the 3 shuls that I visited in my 3 days in Deal. And you see Ben Porat Yosef, when the Gemara writes, Ashrehem Israel. The great merit and the great zechut of Am Israel, that wherever we are, wherever we go, we bring a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that's in a way, to finish today's class. Okay. And this is perhaps to wrap it up with the beginning of today's class. Al Pi Hashem Is'u. I'm going on vacation. I'm taking a Kadosh Baruch Hu with me. That's it. I'm taking a Kadosh Baruch Hu with me. Not only I'm taking my book with me, I'm taking Borei Olam with me. Brooklyn is empty, I will tell you this. I found parking every day without having to go around the circle. Any street I went, I was able to find parking. Baruch Hashem, easy. In the winter, it's not so easy. And before the summer, it's definitely not easy. But you feel that Brooklyn, it's like empty, yeah? And suddenly everybody moved there to deal, etc. And it's fine. But that's in a way what the Pasuk says. Okay? It's talking about the 3 feet above water, the ocean, that the water, it's increasing, the water level. No, further south. Further south, that's a different topic. But that's in a way, Al Pi Hashem Is'u. That's a beautiful example. What does it mean? We're traveling on vacation with a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akash, 10 o'clock. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akash אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפש למען צדקו